So up until the end of 2019, I traveled to a total of 28 countries and 132 cities. Hey guys, so this will be a long video, but I promise if you watch till the end, you'll learn a lot from my experience. First of all, what are these countries that I visited? Roll the clip! If you want to see more, you can watch my traveling videos that I posted in the past. I'm not gonna bore you here. How did it all happen? So, it was the summer break of the year that I was 19 years old. I got really annoyed by the boredom at home, so my mom just encouraged me to go abroad and travel. I think I should point out that she's an avid traveler herself. She's been to Dubai with her friend and Tibet by herself. I've never traveled abroad or traveled by myself at all, but I listened to her advice and booked a plane ticket for the next day, embarked on my solo journey. The destination was Mexico, Cancun, which is not too far away from New York, where I live. It was an amazing experience, and I never stopped ever since. Throughout my 4 years of college, I studied abroad in Paris, Amsterdam, Korea, and Costa Rica. I also volunteered in Argentina, took 2 semesters off to travel full-time. I still graduated on time because I got AP credits, and I took a lot of summer and winter classes. So up until the end of 2019, I traveled to a total of 28 countries and 132 cities. And for the future, my plan is to keep traveling until the age of 30 or 35, until I finish all the countries and destinations in the world. Why do I travel? You see, most people travel the wrong way. They go to attractions just to take pictures and post them on social media to show off. Although they went to a foreign country, but they follow the crowd, sleep in a hotel, eat in a popular restaurant crowded by tourists. Then upon returning home, they tell themselves, now my soul is healed. But in reality, after their trip, they didn't learn anything new. They just went back to their old routine. Nothing has changed except for that the things that should have been done are now procrastinated even longer. Traveling for them is just a self-deceiving escape. Their body's on the road, but not their mind. For them, even they've been to many places, but their biggest gain is nothing more than a few gigabytes of photos, a dozen social media posts, and several hundred likes. For me, I went out there to learn things. My brain is constantly seeking stimulations from the outside world and continuously absorbing new information. Whenever I arrive in a new city, I will try to use different means of transportations, try unique cuisine, make friends with local people, observe how they socialize with people, see their clothing, their etiquette, their culture. For example, when I was in Amsterdam, I joined the local volleyball team, badminton club, tennis club, and ping pong. And I was the only foreigner there. And this is one of the most significant intentions of my trips, to see what other possible ways that one can live his life. The more lifestyles I see, the more certain I am about what I want. When I arrive in a new city, I will try to do all the things that I've never done before, open my arms and my heart to embrace every single new thing, until I figured out everything, tried all the food, visited all the attractions, got bored and fell into my comfort zone again. Then I'll move on to the next destination and repeat the process. Another reason is that experiencing firsthand is irreplaceable. And there is an old saying in Chinese, 读万卷书，行万里路. It means in order to study to the fullest, not only you need to read 10,000 books, but you also have to travel 10,000 kilometers. No matter how advanced the internet is, it can never beat experiencing it yourself. It's like I can describe to you the exact flavor of a Michelin 3-star dish, but you still want to taste it for yourself. It's like you can perfectly acknowledge the beauty of Russian girls on Instagram, but flirting with one in person is another story. It's like watching skydiving versus skydiving yourself. The same goes for traveling. Although you can watch all the pictures and videos and read all the information about it, but there's just something about being there at the present, breathing in the scent of the plants, feel the moisture in the air with your skin, soak things up with your own eyes, and touch the texture of the things with your bare hands. First thing I've learned, you can never go back to the old you. Traveling allows you to experience and learn so many things that you'll never look at your life the same way. After seeing the wide variety and endless possibilities of living in this world, I could never go back to the old life I used to be content with. There's one moment that particularly stuck out to me. I was in Central America. I was visiting a local food market. I saw a fish handler who was pretty much the same age as me at the seafood counter, but he has a face that seems like he's gone through a lot of things. His range of activity is a few meters long seafood station that's only wide enough for one person to pass at a time. After the guest selects the fish, his job is to discount, take out the internal organs, cut into pieces, rinse, and then hand it to the guest, repeating this action countless times every day without any facial expressions. This few meters long working station is his life. I watched his hands move skillfully and mechanically. I couldn't help but wonder, what was he thinking about when he was killing the fish? How did he started doing this job? Does he still has his dream and passion? And if he wanted to take a break, can he ask the boss to go outside and smoke a cigarette? When he sees guests come and go in fashionable clothes, does he look forward to changing off the smelly working clothes at the end of the day? I don't dare to think any deeper. Here, I don't mean any disrespect for this kind of job. On the contrary, I really admire the fish killer who can live this kind of life day after day without becoming insane. But this is not the life I want at all. I'm a guy who loves freedom and regards freedom as important as my life. Merely the thought of being stuck in such a small place and doing such repetitive work makes me feel desperate and hopeless. At that moment, I promised to myself to never limit my future to such a small place. Like Paulo Coelho said, if you think adventures are dangerous, try routine. It's lethal. Only if you really go out there, you will see that the world is much larger than what we think. 7.8 billion is a number that our Homo sapien brain cannot comprehend. Only when you see that there are a million more beautiful girls in Eastern Europe that you'll finally let go of your crush at school. Only when you see that people can enjoy happiness in their lives without buying luxury items, that you finally stop chasing materialistic possessions. I've sold many of my old belongings and stopped buying new flashy shoes and clothes. Only when you see poor people living in desperate poverty that you can become thankful to be born into a wealthy society in a country where climbing up is still possible. Only when you stand at a higher place, looking things from a higher perspective, that you finally realize how insignificant your worries and concerns are. I've met super beautiful girls in Eastern Europe, which allowed me to stop questioning and doubting myself. I met many good friends whom we learned from each other and grow together, which allowed me to reflect on my previous so-called friends and eventually leave them. I experienced so much loneliness that I stopped evading it and started to accept it as part of me, part of the life. These are the things you'll never learn from books or YouTube videos or your daily lives. I saw this quote on the walls of many hostels that I've stayed at. Not all those who wander are lost. Yes, exactly. I traveled, I wandered, I got lost, and I gradually found out who I am along the way. Traveling is undoubtedly a necessary way to acquaint with and understand this world. When you travel, you learn about this world, but you also learn about yourself. Only then can you realize that having his life pass by like a river is everything a person has. The rest are just moments of joys and misfortunes. Freedom is such a thing that give you some and then take it away is much more dangerous than never giving you at all. So the second thing that I learned is that I have to travel now. Do not procrastinate. Many people can travel later, but you won't find yourself sleeping on a volcano and watching lava erupting during a freezing night. You won't find yourself skydiving out of an airplane in Hawaii. You won't find yourself hanging out with a group of new friends you just met at the hostel. You won't find yourself exploring a cave with candles in Guatemala. You won't find yourself swimming next to a nurse shark in the Caribbean. You won't find yourself getting the PIDI scuba diving certification in Cancun, Mexico. You won't find yourself petting a lion in a zoo in Argentina. You won't find yourself standing in salty pink water. You won't find yourself on a creepy island decorated with dolls. You won't find yourself driving alone for 2 weeks in northern Mexico. You won't find yourself wrestling with a friend in the mud. You won't find yourself scuba diving at night to see night creatures. You won't find yourself shooting real guns in USA. You won't find yourself playing horse polo in Argentina. You won't find yourself visiting an abandoned train yard in Hungary. Times like that only happens in your 20s because you're dumb enough to do it. I still feel pretty amazing when looking back on these things I've done. These are the things I don't even see myself doing in my 30s. Just talking about now, I'm no longer that willing to jump off the same balcony window that I used to jump out of all the time when I was a kid. There are many beautiful things in this world, yet little time left for us. You will never be as young as you are today. Today is your youngest day for the rest of your life. Don't save traveling for retirement, just as you wouldn't save sex for old age. Go out to travel while you're still young. Otherwise, there are many things you will never have the courage to do again. You'll only live once. As I traveled, I gradually preferred traveling alone more and more. Traveling alone, although sometimes there would be no one to split the taxi's fare or day trips package with me together. But the pros are I can travel at my own pace. I don't have to wait for anyone. I don't have to care about the feelings of anyone other than myself. I don't have to think about the other people's appetite. I don't have to accommodate the preferences of any other person. Traveling alone allows me to visit places with a much higher efficiency. I can begin or end my day whenever and however I like. Additionally, I rarely feel lonely because by staying at the hostels, I always meet new friends from all over the world, and we always end up organizing a day trip together after we meet. So my advice is that if you want to go somewhere you like, but no one else wants to, just go by yourself. You will meet people with similar interests as you. You will meet a lot of people on the road. Sometimes it's a few minutes of conversation and information exchanging. Sometimes it's a couple of days together. Sometimes you end up being in touch for life. Along my journey, I've met bros that I want to keep in contact with for life. I've met girls that made my heart skips a beat. I've met people I find very interesting. And I've also met people I find very annoying. All became precious experiences in memories. A few even made it into my short novel as a character. I remember when I was volunteering in Argentina, I researched and found out that the horse polo is a really famous sport there. So I found a day trip tour online and asked my friends in the same program if they wanted to come with me. No one wanted. I didn't really care, so I just went by myself. The day comes. All the other guests for the horse polo event are either friends or lovers. I was the only solo guy there, but I didn't really care. Nobody cared. Instead, I easily mingled with them and had a great time. And I even got a little trophy for making the only goal of the day. Towards the end of the program, a guy in our group told me about how he admired my independence and the courage to go alone. And he said he wished he had the same courage to do that. For girls, take this part with a grain of salt, though I've met many girls traveling on their own, but still, safety first. Fourth thing I've learned, traveling is not perfect. Let me tell you, no matter how big a smile I have while taking a picture, the second before or after it could be me feeling very down due to some incidents that just happened. Traveling is not perfect. You might miss the train, you might miss that epic picture, you might lose your belongings. The venue didn't open. The weather betrayed you. The custom denied you from entry. You might be robbed, scammed, deceived, brokenhearted, sobbing, crying, dying. In fact, traveling could be risky. You put yourself in a complete strange new place and leave yourself with uncertainty and unpredictability. You will experience a wide range of emotions, feeling lost, down, excited, ecstatic, anger, scare, all that. But just like all adventures, the protagonist always becomes stronger after the frustration. He became tougher, he learned to deal with the events, he learned to maneuver his way into achieving his goal. So that's it. To conclude this video, if you want a drastic change to your life, then you need to do something drastically different. If you want to gain something you've never had before, then you have to do something you've never done before. Traveling is probably the best way to spend my youth. When I'm traveling, I feel so grateful for each passing day. So go do the things you want while the spring sunshine is just right and the autumn's breeze is just fresh. Go on an adventure. Go tell a story that's worth telling. At the end of the day, those stories are all we have. So pack your bag, get on the road. For once, just be capricious and impulsive. Go, fly, roam, travel, voyage, explore, discover, adventure. Many years later, the videos and the pictures you took will record something called youth.